At this point in the workshop, participants used the tools learnt during the workshop to address a stated problem and develop recommendations. The recommendations were tailored to the particular circumstances and requirements of a chosen country within the CARIFORUM region.
Question 1 says, what is the role of the National Council for Innovation and Competitiveness in promoting innovation and competitiveness or industry in a regional country of your choice? Discuss ways in which the Council can support firm or industry to innovate using the concept of innovation system. What are the current barriers existing in the private sector? In which ways the Council's work can remove such bottlenecks? Who are the relevant actors needed to be involved to ensure effective functioning of the Council? And finally, we were asked to support and justify our policy proposal using statistical evidence. The presentation of the board reflects our interpretation and response to question 1. So in response to question 1, we are proposing the creation of the Guyana National Competitiveness and Innovation Council.
We have now determined that the 4 key questions that we'd like to ask are: what are the necessary steps required to access the key information for business growth? What are the challenges regarding access to finance for businesses? What is the nature of the current nature of the regulatory environment? And of course, what are the skills level for the labor force in order to get the competence that we would need for the private sector? And having done that, we've determined that the purpose of the policy would be for the creation of a sustainable and internationally competitive private sector with the capacity to continually innovate. The role of our council will be to articulate an innovation policy for the country that can transform the competitiveness of the identified sectors through strategic collaboration and advocacy. And our targets are for greater foreign exchange, greater value creation, expanding the export base, and creation of high-skilled jobs. The impact would be to have higher incomes per capita GDP, greater economic stability, increased contribution, and increased presence in Caribbean. And the scope, these are the broad areas that the government of Guyana has articulated as their 8 priority sectors. And of course, they would like to then look at the strategic segments within these sectors to look at competitiveness for the country. So we have agro-processing, agriculture, forestry, wood, mining, energy, services, tourism, ICT, and light manufacturing. And our components, we are looking at public-private partnerships to look at high-level forms of top public and private officials to have dialogue. We, of course, would like to foster interagency collaborations, and you could see the variety there in order to have infrastructure development, research, financing, regulations. We would like to support the collaboration of other entities in export markets. And as you can see, there's an example here where there's actually a road being built between Brazil and Guyana. We believe that this will be a great opportunity to have access, much greater access to the South American market, and there's also development of a deep water harbor. To add to our components as well, we would support the research and development and the diffusion of technologies, and of course technological visits overseas, foreign investment in key areas, and of course keep checks, because one of the things, if you notice, that we put in the purpose is to continually innovate. So keep checks on the progress of our competitiveness in the global market and identify challenges and bottlenecks that need to be continually addressed. And linkages form a major part of what we will do. So you have the productive sector, academic linkages, higher education, as we've identified, public-private partnerships, clarifying the roles of semi-autonomous agencies to better serve the industries, and interagency collaboration. And let me go back to semi-autonomous agencies. There is currently a council that exists in Guyana. There is currently a council that exists in Guyana, and we had an opportunity to examine the representatives that sit on the council. It's a council of 12 members, 6 of which are ministers of the government, 4 are actually from the semi-autonomous agencies, so you're not really seeing the private sector support and participation outside the Chamber of Commerce, and then 2 representatives from the labor union. Outlined here, you will see availability for relevant skills in the industry. We speak about development of programs, and important experts, more research, quality physical infrastructure, advocating for greater capital and current expenditure on physical infrastructure, supporting collaboration with other entities, and for example, in energy costs, you will see advocating for timely completion of the Amelia Falls Road project, as well as looking at tax breaks for businesses. And one of the things that we believe is very important is the aligning the initiatives of the government to the needs of the private sector. From my counterparts from Guyana, they have expressed to me clearly that a lot of the incentives that are provided for business owners are not in keeping with what is actually required. And there's also, even in terms of scholarships, they have not targeted the area where there is a need so that you can continue to support and have persons that are interested in those areas continue to get into the system and support what's happening. So insufficient public-private partnership, regulatory environment, and access to finance and information. And of course, the composition of the council, it would be a high-level council, is proposed, but with greater scope for involvement in productive actors such as business leaders, university leaders, labor leaders, and industry associations and research institutes. And that, my friend, takes us to the end of our presentation.
Thank you very, very much, Ruth.